Time now for the St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Rams Outdoor Edge on YKR Country.
All right. Welcome to the St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Rams Outdoor Edge, your go-to show for outdoor adventures, hunting and fishing and camping. And tonight, we're going to be talking about some culinary delights for Vermont and New Hampshire. I'm your host, Joshua Smith, and I had the honor talking earlier with Denny Corriveau, also known as the WildCheff. Denny is a master in wild game cuisine and will share his insights on creating delectable Thanksgiving dishes using wild game, explore the rich history behind these culinary traditions, and discuss the health benefits of incorporating wild game into your diet. We have a lot to fit in today's show, because we also have some harvest reports from the Upper Valley Grill and also the West Barnett store. So, of course, we also have our Fairbanks Museum Weekend Hunters forecast. But first, we're chock-a-block full of information we're going to give you this hour or so. But let's first jump into the conversation that I had earlier with Denny Corriveau, the WildCheff. So here we go.
Denny, it's great to have you here. Thank you for taking time out. This is probably one of your busiest times of year, too, is this time of year with everything to do with, culinary surprises.
Yeah, all times of the year are busy for me. The demand is high, and, people love games, so.
And you specialize also, as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, you kind of specialize in wild game cuisine, correct?
I do. I'm the only national wild game chef that exists. That's quite a feat, a 30-year journey, and so I'm typically referred to as the Emeril Lagasse of wild game. So I'm a resource. I'm a celebrity chef, and a guy that works with all venues of people, whether it be the novice that just wants to explore hunting or wild game, the game enthusiast who's out there trying to cook something innovative and looking for some creative ideas, and then the seasoned hunter or outdoors person, whether it be an outdoorsman or an outdoors woman. I've worked with all those groups of people over the past 30 years, so it's been quite a journey, and a lot of people utilize me as a resource to learn about different aspects of wild game.
Right, and so at WYKR we are based in Vermont and New Hampshire, and you're also fairly local to the area as well.
Yeah, I'm in southern Maine now, but I did grow up in New Hampshire and actually graduated high school in the White Mountains of New Hampshire. As it relates to Vermont, well, my dad lives in northern Vermont. He lives right on the Canadian border, and I just so happened to be up there last week. So love both states, but New Hampshire is my home state originally.
There you go. And so what inspired you to kind of specialize in wild game cuisine?
Great question. Years ago when I was a teenager, my dad, I did not grow up around a hunting family. We had a large French-Canadian family, and we did a lot of cooking, and we got exposed to a lot of different cultural aspects of cooking. But it was roughly around when I was 14, 15 years old. My stepdad grew up in the White Mountains of New Hampshire. He was an avid hunter all his life. My oldest sister married a gentleman from Maine who also hunted since he was a kid. And they offered to appease my curiosity. I always saw people hunting, and I always thought it was kind of cool, and I wanted to get into it. And so as a result, I did get into it through those two guys who introduced me to the sport of hunting. And it became like it was always meant to be. And so WildCheff really came about once I got my first deer. I had to figure out what to do with it. And so the first thing I did is I asked, obviously, the people that got me involved in deer hunting, what do you do with it? And they didn't really know much either. So what I decided when I couldn't find the knowledge base out there is I said, somebody's got to do something about this. So I started exploring game further and figuring out and testing it to see what its limitations were, where you could go with it, what things would work well when cooking it, what methodologies would work well in how to cook it. And I figured all this stuff out to where, I created a best practice approach to how to cook game. And then I started taking that message locally to people. I mean, it started out very simple 30 years ago. It was throwing flyers up at a gun shop and saying, hey, if you can get a group of guys together, I can show you what I learned. And it kind of took a life of its own. I mean, there were so many people interested, both, of course, back then it was mostly guys involved in the outdoors more so than women. But eventually women, are one of the fastest growing segments of our sport. And I've worked with them all over the years, but it kind of grew from that little locality thing to regionally. I started working with New Hampshire Fish and Game Department and other fish and game departments in New England who thought it was a great idea to bring this knowledge to people. And I've had long-standing relationships with a lot of them. And then it kind of, again, took its life of its own to where people started talking, and I started getting approached from all areas of the country, and it's really like taken off. And it's been a pretty extensive 30-year journey of teaching people, inspiring people, and, getting people to understand the nuances of how to cook game and what the differences are and how you approach different types of game, whether it be farm raised or whether it be, from the wild.
All right. We're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to be continuing our conversation with Chef Denny Corriveau, and we're going to be asking some questions about some of his cookbooks that Chef Denny has published. So stay tuned for that.
It's the St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Rams Outdoor Edge on YKR Country.
Miles Supply, your stop for all your general business products, paper towels, toilet paper, first aid kits, and more. Purchase your paper and soap products from Miles, and they'll install the dispensers for free. Do you own a salon, restaurant, coffee shop, or gym making a monthly run to the big box store for your business supplies? Save time with Miles Supply. Call today for a sales visit, 476-3963, or walk directly into their showroom, 143 Boynton Street next to Spalding High School. Miles Supply, family-owned and building relationships since 1954.
Gateway Sports downtown Wells River has you covered for all of those items that you need most for a successful hunt this fall. The store is fully stocked with an excellent selection of new and used long guns, handguns, muzzleloaders, shotguns, scopes, slings, swivels, ammunition, and accessories. Stop in soon. Gateway Sports always has the items that you might be interested in, and check them out on Gunbroker as Grizzly 10. Stop in and track down what you need for the Vermont and New Hampshire hunting season at Gateway Sports, Wells River. Open Tuesday through Saturday, 9 to 5.
This is Bob McGee from Wild Vermont Customs. From mud to snow, water to road, powered or pedaled, our custom fabrication shop can make it look great. With paint, hydro dip, powder coat, media blast to your restoration project, metal artwork, or your hunting trophies. Come see what we can do for you. Gabe, what can we do for the hunting trophies?
We can dip Euro skulls, make custom plaques or mounts.
Wild Vermont Customs, East Redgate, Vermont. On the web at wildvt.com.
Check out our Facebook page for pictures.
The Autosaver Group's St. Johnsbury Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram asks, do your outdoor adventures take you to where you wish you had a four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive? At St. Johnsbury Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram, explore their vast inventory of adventure-savvy four-wheel drives and all-wheel drive vehicles ready for you to drive at home. Plus, every St. Johnsbury Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram deal includes the Big Deal Plus, which is a 2-year unlimited scheduled maintenance plan, which includes free state inspections for life. Stop in today in St. Johnsbury, Vermont, or shop St. Johnsbury Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram online at stjohnsburycdjr.com.
Welcome back to the St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Rams Outdoor Edge, which is your go-to show for outdoor adventures, hunting, and now culinary delights in Vermont and New Hampshire. I'm your host, Joshua Smith, and we have a special guest with us, Chef Denny Corriveau, also known as the WildCheff. And Chef Denny, before we went out for our break, we did talk a little bit about some of your cookbooks that you've published as well.
We did, yeah. I've written 3 cookbooks. And really the original intent was, hey, let me, pass on that knowledge as well through cookbooks. Everybody's always looking for a good recipe. Most people that hunt, typically have a couple of go-tos that they've stuck with for years. And I was hoping to kind of open up, if you will, their imagination a little bit further. And so I wrote 3 cookbooks. The first one was called I'm Game If You Are. It's a book that really is all about cooking different types of venison. The second cookbook I wrote was called A Culinary Flight, and that was really geared towards people that love the bird hunt, whether it be upland or waterfowl. And I did include, most of the people that are into the upland hunting usually like to rabbit hunt as well, so I did include some rabbit recipes there. And then my third book was on fresh and saltwater fish, and I called it Hooked on Fish. So they sold out numerous times, and in this day and age, it makes more sense to move them electronically. So people can purchase them on my website, and the book gets sent to them electronically, which is kind of cool because they can pull it up on a PC screen or a tablet or something and either have it near where they're cooking, or they can obviously hook it up to a printer and print out the recipe and follow it along. So.
And you mentioned your website, so people can go to wildcheff.com, and that's spelled with CHEFF.com.
2 F's, yeah, that's the uniqueness of WildCheff.
Yeah. And so this being kind of like our Thanksgiving themed episode, what are some of your favorite wild game dishes to prepare for Thanksgiving?
Oh, love Thanksgiving. It's like one of my all-time favorite holidays. And it's a great time because it's that time of year when everybody's out hunting. So what a great segue to be able to introduce people to game and show them cool ways to enjoy it. For example, if you had a wild turkey, I can offer a couple of different options. If you want to stay in the turkey theme, you could take half, one of the breasts, one side of the turkey, and butterfly that piece of meat, and then stuff it and make it into like a wild turkey roll and bake that in the oven. And that is amazing. I usually make a stuffing with, you pick up some kind of really nice crusty bread at your local bakery and break that down and turn it into a stuffing with broth and adding, sage type seasonings, and maybe small dicing some apple, and that would make a great stuffing to be able to put into that roll, and then tie it off with twine. And maybe you could throw some cider and maybe a little rizzling wine in that pan, that baking dish that you put that in the oven with. That adds a little bit of moisture, and then when all is said and done, when you pull that out of the oven, you could thicken that cider sauce and serve that over that sliced turkey roll.
This is amazing, Chef Denny. I'm looking at going to wildchef.com. You have moose cheesesteak, bear stir fry. You have venison ravioli. You have chicken fried goose, turducken burgers. There is amazing amounts of recipes that you have right here on your website.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them up there. It's kind of endless. We rebuilt the website last year, and when we did, it's like, how much is enough? Because the ideas, I lay in bed at night thinking up of new ideas constantly. So what's there is a culmination. And the cool thing is these are like recipes that maybe people haven't thought of, and it's like, hey, I never thought to do that with my game. Going back to the Thanksgiving theme, I mean, you've got a couple of pictures right in front of you, like that turducken burger, for somebody that's a non-traditionalist that wants something cool on Thanksgiving. Imagine taking some wild turkey, and running it through a grinder with some organic chicken and some duck, maybe a duck breast that you've taken the fat off the duck breast, and grinding that together and turning it into a yummy turducken burger. We actually filmed that for TV. It's been featured in magazines, and I think one magazine, the most recent that featured that, was a magazine called Hook and Barrel, and I was I was featured in that magazine with country star Lainey Wilson.
So how can people incorporate wild game into, say, like a traditional Thanksgiving menu?
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned, you can make a turkey roll with a wild turkey breast. You could make a turkey brajol, which you have at the top of the page that you're looking at.
Right.
If you take a turkey breast and you brine it for, say, anywhere from 6 to 8 hours, the brines that I have we make them differently. So I have a farmhouse brine, I have a smokehouse brine, but we infuse the aromatics and the essential oils of those aromatics together, and so we get full penetration of flavor. So think of like taking that turkey breast, putting it into a Ziploc that you created this brine out of, the WildCheff brine, and I'll say the farmhouse brine, for example, right? It's got rosemary and citrus and lemon peel and stuff in it, and garlic. And imagine those flavors penetrating through that breast. And then when you take it out of the brine and you slice thin slices lengthwise across that breast, now you can, again, no different than the turkey roll, you can create a stuffing in the center of that piece of turkey breast, wrap it like you would a burrito, and tie it off with twine. And you can cook them in the oven, or what I've done is I love to cook them on the grill. And if you have some cranberry to dollop on the top of it and add your other sides, I mean, that's an awesome Thanksgiving dinner that will blow people's minds.
Man. All right, we're going to take another quick break, Chef Denny. And when we get back, I just got more questions about Thanksgiving dinner with all these recipes.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. All right. Stay tuned for that, everybody.
It's a St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Rams Outdoor Edge on YKR Country.
At Red Clover Bikes in Fairleigh, Vermont, we know that a bike is more than just a ride. It's an extension of who you are. With financing available on top-tier Trek bicycles, e-bikes, and a team that's all about making biking accessible and fun, we help you make the most of the roads and the trails that make this little spot of heaven special. Whether you're looking to enhance your bike's performance or need expert advice on the latest cycling gear, we've got you covered. So come visit us in Fairleigh at Red Clover Bikes, where your adventure begins.
At R&L Archery, we know it's not just about the thrill of the hunt or the size of the fish. It's about the moments that matter most, the traditions passed down from one generation to the next, and the stories told by the fire long after the sun is set. It's about the journey, the memories, and the time spent together with friends and family, because these are the moments that truly last a lifetime. R&L Archery, where every adventure begins. Come create your story.
Horse Meadow Senior Center invites you to join them for the 3rd annual Community Festival of Trees. Bring the family and enjoy the decorated trees from November 18th through December 6th. Santa will be there on December 4th from 5 to 6 p.m. for cookies and hot chocolate. All proceeds from this event will go to the Home Delivered Meals program. For more information about this fundraiser, contact Horse Meadow Senior Center. To benefit Jazzy's Children Fund, it's Jazzy's Holiday Pop-Up Shop at 91 Central Street in Woodsville through December 28th, and it's open 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday 10 to 6, Sunday 10 to 3, with handmade crafts by local artisans.
What's going on? The community calendar of events in the listening area is brought to you by Wells River Savings, your good neighbor bank.
During the month of November, don't miss the live animal exhibit trail at Squam Lakes Natural Science Center. Saturdays and Sundays in November, 10 a.m. to 3:30 at Squam Lakes Natural Science Center. Online at nhnature.org.
All right, we are back, and we're talking to Chef Denny of the WildCheff, and he has an amazing website, as we mentioned before. He is the go-to culinary expert when it comes to cooking and preparing wild game. And before we went out for our break, we were asking you, Chef Denny, about some questions about what are some of your favorite wild game dishes to prepare for Thanksgiving. But is there any holiday-specific spices or flavors that pair especially well with wild game?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on the cut that you're using and the methodology of how you're cooking it, right? So it's a great question, and that is years ago when I first started to teach people what I learned, the methodologies, the best practice. I centered it around like, hey, I want you to focus on that methodology, and I don't want you to get distracted by, hey, what spice do I need? And are there like 12 different spices that I need to, put this dish together? Because then it overwhelms you and then you're not learning, right? So what I did is I, worked with an executive in the food industry, and we created these spice blends and things so that I could take that like guesswork away from people and have them focus on, the methodology. And so they're learning how to cook, they're learning the nuance and the things they need to pay attention to. And in the same, simultaneously, they're also, learning about spice and how it works with game. So, there are a lot of different spices that are interactive with game. And it really, what I try to tell people is pick a flavor profile. Like, hey, I want to cook, Italian or Tuscan, or I want to cook barbecue style, or I want to cook, rustic, and based on how you want to go, it could be Tex-Mex too, right? Everybody loves like Mexican food and Tex-Mex type cooking. I can kind of walk them in a direction as to, hey, these are the things that you want to use. So unintentionally, I created a product line. And here's another concept that I learned that I passed on to people over the years. And I've taught thousands of people across this country, to include, people that are either graduate chefs or student chefs at, top culinary schools like Johnson & Wales or the Culinary Institute of America or Le Cordon Bleu or other places, right? Not just sportsmen. But the concept is the same no matter how you look at it. The way that you treat game, regardless of what variety of game you're talking about, the best experience that you're going to have using spices or things is to use preservative-free. Because you don't, and the best way I can compare that is, it's like going to McDonald's and you go through the drive-through and you eat a burger, like a quarter pounder with cheese or something. Then you drive down the road and about 5 minutes later, you're asking yourself, why did I do that to myself, right? You're tasting all those preservatives and it's all like doing a mess in your stomach. Now compare that to game, right? You've got a clean thing that comes from nature. It's never been touched by human hands. So are you going to treat that game with something that's preservative laden and like null and void the quality and what, you have in your hands to have this different experience? Or are you going to treat it preservative free? So unintentionally, as a teaching mechanism, I started like offering, half a dozen different spice blends that could take them down these different flavor profile paths. So they could have like, hey, if I want Tex-Mex, which ones do I use? If I want to go this route or that route, right? Once again, it took a life of its own, and I probably have close to 100 culinary products in different categories that you can use on fish, game, or anything else you want. But you have a clean eating experience, which is the way game was meant to be, enjoyed.
It's the St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Rams Outdoor Edge on YKR Country.
This is Bob McGee from Wild Vermont Customs. From mud to snow, water to road, powered or pedaled, our custom fabrication shop can make it look great. With paint, hydro dip, powder coat, media blast in your restoration project, metal artwork, or your hunting trophies. Come see what we can do for you. Gabe, what can we do for the hunting trophies?
We can dip Euro skulls, make custom plaques or mounts.
Wild Vermont Customs, East Redgate, Vermont. On the web at wildvt.com.
Check out our Facebook page for pictures.
Your website isn't working for you. Hi, this is Jay Davis, co-founder of Northeast Kingdom Online. I'm sure you've seen us online already. We've created hundreds of websites for companies just like yours. If you're ready to stand out on the internet, it's time to join forces with Northeast Kingdom Online, Northern New England's premier website design company. From security to mobile responsiveness, we handle it all. Let's make your website as unique as your business. Visit us at northeastkingdomonline.com and let's get started. Achieve more with northeastkingdomonline.com.
Don't let cold season make you miserable. Try the quick, drug-free solution for nasal congestion, Navage. Navage uses gentle suction to flush out your sinuses with refreshing saline, helping you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier all winter long. And here's even better news. Navage is now available at select warehouse clubs in a great new value pack. It's everything you need to start breathing better fast. Check out Navage at your local retailer today. Navage, Navage, breathe easy.
Did you know that Wendy's has any size soft drinks for just $1? Yeah, any size, anytime. Like $1 Coke, $1 Sprite, or even $1 strawberry Fanta. Okay, could we maybe switch up the sound effect, please? 'Cause I'm losing it. Wow, no, not that. Any size soft drink for just $1? Gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. A la carte only. Not valid in a combo. Exclusions apply.
Well, that does bring up my next question then, because then I can kind of ask you some of the health benefits of wild game then too. Is my first one is, how does wild game compare nutritionally to, say, domesticated meats?
Well, I mean, which domesticated meat are you eating, right?
Right.
You can get organic meats, things that haven't been touched by steroids or growth hormones or things of that sort. And in my opinion, I've tried ones that don't and ones that do. And the ones that don't, typically, you can taste the difference. But as it relates to wild game, it's always, and people know this, it's lower in fat and cholesterol. It's much better for your health. I mean, I even remember early on I was starting a culinary team because I wanted to be able to spread the knowledge faster. And so I had interned some people onto my culinary team where I could send them out and they could teach my message. And one in particular, I had a gal, Kim, and she had autoimmune issues. And her integrated medical doctor recommended to her to eat more wild game. And the doctor said, hey, this will help you overcome that. Well, this gal was a complete vegan when she got given that advice. She did not touch meat. So her husband went out and got an elk, and they started eating elk. And little by little, her levels all improved. Everything went great. She eventually became a bow hunter, and she was part of my culinary team. So, it's like in the seat of adversity, sometimes there's greater benefit. And, when you look at game, it's a great option. People that have heart issues or autoimmune or any other type of thing where they're looking for something that's closer to the source, something that's more pure, it's clean. Wild game, whether you buy it at the store or whether you go out and pursue it, there is nothing better that exists out there.
So is there any particular vitamins or minerals in wild game that make it a healthier choice as well?
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of, minerals and vitamins in game that, certainly, make it at the top of the list. The primary thing is you don't have to worry about where the food comes from. That's the bottom line. It's like, hey, when you go out and you get a deer, well, I know where it came from, and it's only touched my human hands, and I know what's ultimately ending up on the table, so I don't have any concerns. Right. The food industry as a whole has been so diluted to where there's just an impurity, and there's a question mark. Even when you go and buy something that claims that it's natural at the store, is it? Is it really? There's nothing that can take the place of something you get out of the wild. So if you have a friend, if you don't hunt yourself, but you do want to see the difference, then seek out a friend that does hunt. That'll share some of it with you, and you'll see the difference instantly. It's amazing. It's sometimes people have to get over a mindset, of, oh my God, it was a deer. Well, it was a cow. It was a pig. It's really all relevant, right? So, get over the fear factor, and, if you go down that path, you'll find the type of game, because different game has different tastes, And, if somebody says something's gamey, it really is not gamey. I mean, pork tastes like pork, chicken tastes like chicken, and game tastes like game. So it probably has the flavor it's meant to. Yeah, there are some variations, and there are things that you can do to circumvent, like the strength of flavor or making it more mild and consistent. A lot of times that involves like removing the bone or the fat. And by doing so, now you just have the flesh, and now you can do cool things with it.
And yeah, that was actually going to be my next question for you, Chef Denny, is do you have any tips for reducing the quote unquote gamey flavor that some people might find strong?
Yeah, I mean, certainly, it all starts, if you're out there getting it in the wild, it all starts with, how do you get that animal? How do you harvest that animal? That's why, and, I could possibly get some listeners mad here, but, it's like, let's say bear hunting, right? Bear is like one of the most misunderstood varieties of game. People that generally say, oh, I wouldn't eat it. It's fatty. It's this, it's that. They don't fully understand the right way to approach it. What I can say is that any game animal, if you're not pursuing it by chasing it with a dog, or if you're like not running after a deer after you shot it, to see if the deer went down 40 yards from you, give it a few minutes to do what it needs to do naturally. You're not building up the adrenaline in the animal, and by doing that, it makes the meat much more, consistent in the way of a really nice flavor. I was taught that years and years ago from a Native American that I used to hunt with, and about 4 years ago, I discovered that I had Native American roots. So, a lot of things from WildCheff have come full circle through that have taught me, geez, now I know why I was kind of gravitating in that direction. It's part of me. It's who I am.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to be talking more with the Wild Chef, Chef Denny, on some sourcing and selecting wild game. So stay tuned for that.
It's a St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Rams Outdoor Edge on YKR Country.
At Red Clover Bikes in Fairleigh, Vermont, we know that a bike is more than just a ride. It's an extension of who you are. With financing available on top-tier Trek bicycles, e-bikes, and a team that's all about making biking accessible and fun, we help you make the most of the roads and the trails that make this little spot of heaven special. Whether you're looking to enhance your bike's performance or need expert advice on the latest cycling gear, we've got you covered. So come visit us in Fairleigh at Red Clover Bikes, where your adventure begins.
At R&L Archery, we know it's not just about the thrill of the hunt or the size of the fish. It's about the moments that matter most, the traditions passed down from one generation to the next, and the stories told by the fire long after the sun is set. It's about the journey, the memories, and the time spent together with friends and family, because these are the moments that truly last a lifetime. R&L Archery, where every adventure begins. Come create your story.
Miles Supply, your stop for all your general business products, paper towels, toilet paper, first aid kits, and more. Purchase your paper and soap products from Miles, and they'll install the dispensers for free. Do you own a salon, restaurant, coffee shop, or gym, making a monthly run to the big box store for your business supplies? Save time with Miles Supply. Call today for a sales visit, 476-3963, or walk directly into their showroom, 143 Boynton Street next to Spalding High School. Miles Supply, family-owned and building relationships since 1954.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter? Right? And the best part? They accept Discover. Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right. So we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
So this new dose is... nope, that's not it. The price is nowhere to be found.
Mr. Green?
Hi, it's all good. We've got this.
This is not just help from a Walgreens pharmacist.
Oh, new prescriptions. Cool. Let me check to see if these are the lowest cost options covered by your Medicare plan.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
This is someone supporting you every step of the way. Chat with a pharmacist today to find help saving. This is the human kind of help. Walgreens.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back to the St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Rams Outdoor Edge, and we are talking to Chef Denny, the WildCheff, award-winning, internationally known, and we're very excited that you're spending your time here talking to us about some Thanksgiving dishes. And WildCheff, I had a question for you also about when we were earlier in the episode, we were talking a little bit about Thanksgiving and holiday themes and whatnot. And you mentioned also some of your traditional trainings when it comes to some of your recipes. So do you have any recipes or cooking techniques that evoke a traditional Thanksgiving feel with a wild game twist? Okay.
Yeah. So it really ties to my French Canadian and my métis, which is French and Mick.
Your recipes. So do you have any recipes or cooking techniques that evoke a traditional Thanksgiving feel with a wild game twist? Okay.
Yeah. So it really ties to my French Canadian and my métis, which is French and Micmac lineage. If you have any French lineage at all, then you're probably fairly familiar with tortilla, and or some people refer to it as a pork pie. Well, what I started to do many, many years ago is I started to make these tortillas with wild game. So what I do is I take 2/3 wild game, ground wild game. It could be any variety. I've done them with deer. I've done them with moose. I've done them with wild boar. I've done them with bear. You name it. And I take about 2/3. So let's just say you wanted to make a pot of this meat mixture that ultimately becomes this pie. What you do is you take 3/4, right, game meat and 1/4 ground pork butt. And you throw that meat into a pot, and then you add, various spices. Now, if I'm going to refer to the WildCheff line, I use things like my air-dried shallots. I use my sagebrush blend, which has sage and garlic and rosemary in it. I use a sage-mary sea salt, which is insane. And I have a roasted garlic powder that is mind-blowing. We take California that's grown organically in California, and we roast it, and then we turn it into a wild, roasted garlic powder, and it's like no garlic you've ever tasted. Oh, wow. And that goes into the pot as well. And then you add some diced potatoes. I make them into a small dice, some Vidalia onion that I dice up, and I throw that in a pot with water, and you want to make almost like a slurry with the meat. So, roll your sleeves up, folks, and throw your hand right into that pot as you're filling that pot with some water in your sink, with all this meat in it, and you're slurrying it with your hand as you go. And when you get it to it's just kind of bouncing, throw that bad boy on the stove and simmer it. You could be simmering it for an hour or two.
Wow.
What you're trying to do is you're trying to get the 90 to 95% of the water out of it to where you're left with just a tiny bit. And then set that aside, let it cool down. And then when it's cooled down, you can put it into containers and put it in the refrigerator overnight. It's cold enough this time of year, if you're having these cold days and nights where you might be able to put it outside in a cooler or something, alternatively. But in essence, you make a pie crust, you take that meat mixture and put it into that pie crust, throw another pie crust over the top and crimp it all the way around, and then put some slats in the top. A lot of times, talk about you're living in Vermont. hey, a lot of times I'll take like a cookie cutter in the shape of a maple leaf or something, and I'll put it in the top. If it's a wild boar one, I might do like a pig, cookie cutter. If it's a moose, I might do the moose antler cookie cutter. You know what I mean? But I put a vent in the top, pop it in the oven, and cook it until your pastry is all nice and browned. Pull it out and let it cool off for about 15 minutes, and have a slice of that with your turkey dinner, or on a nice cold night in the fall, even, or in the winter. That's a great dinner to be able to have a nice piece of that tortilla. Traditionally served, at Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve, but I love it at Thanksgiving, and no Thanksgiving is complete without it. And with doing it with wild game, it's the icing on the cake.
So for those that don't hunt, where can people find high quality wild game?
So there are, definitely online resources, and then there's certainly. I'm not really familiar with the stores in Vermont. I know in New Hampshire they have stores like Hannaford or Shaw's or Market Basket, and you can find things like buffalo, or in some cases you can find like at Shaw's they have at least the one locally near me has elk burger and New Zealand venison burger, and some of these stores you can get wild boar sausages and things like that. In Massachusetts, if people take a trip down there to North Andover, there's a store called Butcher Boy, and they have a little freezer that always has, different types of varieties of game in it. And then, there's online resources. I can give a couple away. A good resource that I've used for 25, 30 years is a company out of Texas called Mount Royal Game Meats.
All right, we're going to take another quick break, and when we get back, we're going to finish our conversations with the Wild Chef by asking some questions about kitchen gadgets that everybody's going to have in their kitchen if they're going to be cooking wild game. So stay tuned for that.
It's the St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Rams Outdoor Edge on YKR Country.
Hi, this is Jay Davis, co-founder of NortheastKingdomOnline.com. As Northern New England's leading digital marketing agency, we will help your business harness the power of SEO, social media, and beyond to enhance your online presence. Your customers are looking for you. Work with our team of marketers to build a complete online marketing strategy. Visit NortheastKingdomOnline.com to see how we can heighten your brand. Achieve more with NortheastKingdomOnline.com.
Gateway Sports Downtown Wells River has you covered for all of those items that you need most for a successful hunt this fall. The store is fully stocked with an excellent selection of new and used long guns, handguns, muzzleloaders, shotguns, scopes, slings, swivels, ammunition, and accessories. Stop in soon. Gateway Sports always has the items that you might be interested in, and check them out on Gunbroker as Grizzly 10. Stop in and track down what you need for the Vermont and New Hampshire hunting season at Gateway Sports, Wells River. Open Tuesday through Saturday, 9 to 5.
The Autosaver Group's St. Johnsbury Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram asks, do your outdoor adventures take you to where you wish you had a four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive? At St. Johnsbury Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram, explore their vast inventory of adventure-savvy four-wheel drives and all-wheel drive vehicles ready for you to drive at home. Plus, every St. Johnsbury Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram deal includes the Big Deal Plus, which is a 2-year unlimited scheduled maintenance plan, which includes free state inspections for life. Stop in today in St. Johnsbury, Vermont, or shop St. Johnsbury Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram online at stjohnsburycdjr.com.
From the Fairbanks Museum in St. Johnsbury, this is the Hunter's Edge forecast. Rain showers have already started in southwestern and central portions of Vermont south of Route 2. This rain throughout the day today will continue to slowly push north and east. The first few showers in northeastern Vermont will likely begin in the mid to late afternoon hours, with more steady precipitation falling later this evening and overnight tonight. With highs today still expected to remain in the mid to upper 40s, the showers will fall as rain. Higher elevations, however, will likely see snow, specifically elevations above 1,500 to 2,000 feet. Anywhere below this should expect to see rainfall. Snowfall estimates are upwards of 1 foot, especially over the Adirondacks. The Greens are expected to see significant snow totals as well, but will likely fall a bit shorter than this 1 foot mark. Another low pressure system overnight tonight and into Friday could push towards Maine, creating yet another chance for snow showers tomorrow. Now for the forecast today, mostly cloudy with that chance of rain, mainly mid to late in the afternoon, becoming more widespread. Highs will be in the mid to upper 40s with east wind at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Then tonight, cloudy with rain continuing overnight, then tapering to showers with a chance of wintry precipitation in the mountains. Lows will be in the low to mid 30s. And on Friday, scattered showers with a chance of snow in the mountains, then beginning to diminish in the afternoon. Highs in the mid to upper 40s with wind gusting up to 25 miles per hour. That's your Outdoor Edge forecast. I'm Fairbanks Museum meteorologist Megan Duncan. Good luck and be safe.
Welcome back to the Chrysler Dodge Jeep Rams Outdoor Edge, and we are honored to have with us the Wild Chef, Chef Denny. He is here, been talking with us for the last hour or so, talking about all things wild game and all some ideas about how you can incorporate wild game into your Thanksgiving menu. And we wanted to wrap up our conversation with you, Wild Chef, with, is there any must-have kitchen tools or gadgets that you recommend for cooking wild game?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the one thing that I can say to people as it relates to cooking in general, let alone with wild game, is, you know, we all invest into hunting equipment. So we buy the guns, we buy the clothing, we buy the accessories, and we spend all this money investing into what we have a passion for. But I want you to get as passionate about cooking your game as you do hunting your game. And if you're that passionate about wanting to have these cool food experiences, then invest into some good pans. You know, get some good stainless pans, you know, pots and pans. Get, you know, maybe a couple of those Dutch ovens that in 2 different sizes, you know, that are porcelain coated. And I know Lodge and Le Creuset, you know, if you want it like the everyday roll up your sleeve guy version, you know, companies like Lodge, they've been around since the 1800s and they make great stuff. You know, I mean, go get yourself stuff like that. Have some cast iron pans, you know, and like a flat pan. They make like I think Lodge makes like a 10-inch or 12-inch round flat pan. You'd be amazed at how many things you could do with your game with that pan. You know, the Dutch ovens I was referring to, I mean, can you imagine making something like I did the other night? Have you ever thought to make short ribs with your wild game? How do you do that?
Right.
Well, you take a roast of a wild game, you cut it into about 1 to 2 inch thick slices, and then you slice it down the center and crosswise, so you end up with these very large chunks of meat. And then you put them into a bowl, throw some olive oil over it, and you season it up. And then you sear them off, and then throw in some diced up carrot, like in half moons, with some onions into a pan with some fresh garlic in the same pan that you just seared all that stuff. Throw the meat back in with all the juices and everything, and then you got a choice. You can say, hey, I like wine, or hey, I like root beer, right? So imagine, you want a cool way to do it? Take some pure cane root beer and pour some pure cane root beer over the top of that game, and then simmer that whole thing out for like 90 minutes to 120 minutes. I'd say 2 hours is optimal, right? Simmer it for 2 hours, and then, man, take that broth out of there and thicken it, you know, with some cornstarch slurry or something. Put it back in with the meat and everything, toss it all up. Serve that over mashed potatoes that maybe you infuse with some Wild Chef roasted garlic powder, and maybe some, you're from Vermont, right? Throw some maple sugar in there, right? Yeah. With the roasted garlic powder, and make this really cool mashed potato, and then serve that over the top of it. Hey, now we're talking. Now we're talking. That's the crazy world I live in.
Right. So Wild Chef, if people want to purchase your books or people want to actually watch your videos, would wildchef.com be the best go-to place where they can get all that information?
Yeah, absolutely. Go to WildCheff with 2Fs.com. Peruse the whole site. I think people will love the new version of the site that I created this past year, and it's got a wealth of information. It's got the spices up there and descriptions of what they all are. It's got recipes up there. I believe there might even be some video up there, and there's news clips. There's all kinds of stuff there, so you can learn from a number of perspectives. And then there's also a variety of things that I do and services that are listed there. So if people want to tap into that, hey, if you got a group of people together up there in that great state of Vermont, you might have a guy like me show up and do a little culinary session with you and stuff. I've certainly have accomplished a lot in 30 years, but I'm not too proud to be a regular guy. So certainly wide open to those things too.
Right. And so absolutely. So check it out, going to wildchef.com. That's with 2 Fs. It's a great, so hey, you know what? It's the holiday season. And if anybody, you also have for sale some spice blends, some pantry essentials, as we mentioned, your cookbooks are there too, and gift cards. So yes, help yourself and anybody here that actually is an avid hunter or knows a lot about wildlife that loves wild game, this is probably the go-to website to check out to purchase anything for there. You got everything over here, Wild Chef. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a great site.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us, and very excited to check out some of these recipes.
Yeah, Josh is now going to go and figure out what he's going to have to eat because now he's starved.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, and that was my conversation I had with, as you saw, Chef Denny, and like I said, it was full of information, and we only have a couple minutes left before the top of the hour. So as promised, I'm going to go over with you some of the harvest reports that we got from the Upper Valley Grill and also from the West Barnett store. Can't go through all of them, so I'm just going to go through the top 5 largest harvests that we had here. So we're going to start in Groton. So the 5th largest deer that was shot, it was shot by Dale Tinkham. Dale Tinkham got a 161-pound deer. And number 4 on the list from Patrick Blaisdell got a 164-pound deer. And then also, so in 3rd place, Gregory Sheenus got a 165-pound deer. And then Kyle Farguson out of Reigate got a 186-pound deer that was weighed in at the Upper Valley Grill. And Stephen Murray got a 187-pound deer that was weighed in at the Upper Valley Grill in Groton. So, but as we look at it through the West Barnett store, so the top 5, so the 5th largest one was Jeremy Roberts, got a 169-pound deer, and that was an 8-pointer. And Jess Goslant got a 174.2-pound deer, and Jesse's out of Peacham, and that was a 10-pointer. And Peter Craig out of Peacham got a 175-pound 8-pointer that was measured, and that's out of the West Barnett store. And number 2 goes to Michael Hale. He got an 8-pointer that was 182 pounds. And the highest weight that we got out of the West Barnett store was 221 pounds. That was an 8-pointer, and that was out of Reigate. And their person is unnamed. There's no name on there. So there you go. So this wraps up our episode of the St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Rams Outdoor Edge. A huge thank you to our guest, Denny Corriveau, the Wild Chef, for sharing his expertise on wild game cuisine and inspiring us to elevate our Thanksgiving meals. Also, special thanks to our sponsors, our amazing sponsors. If it wasn't for them, the show would not be possible. And that's R&L Archery, Red Clover Bikes, Miles Supply, Wild Vermont Customs, Gateway Sports, Northeast Kingdom Online, and of course, St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. And we'd love to hear from you. Leave us a review or a comment, and we might just read it on the air in a future episode. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time on the Outdoor Edge.